Welcome into Point Blank, brought to you by Fitz Roofing. I'm Brandon Strange, joined always by ESPN Houston's Joel Blank of the Press Box. Joel, thanks for joining me today. I want to talk some Texans because anyone who's been paying attention to the organization over the past 3 months has seen an incredible roller coaster ride of the team's reputation. Now we're hearing rumors that Bill O'Brien is asking to meet with certain members of the media to try to understand how he can better communicate with them. So, Joel, the respect level for the Texans fell about as low as it could have gone for the opinion of fans and the media. But now the team as a whole seems to be making big strides to rehabilitate that image and reconnect with the community and the media. Why is that important internally and externally? Let's start with the internal factor.
Well, I think internally it's extremely important because there's a lot of question marks floating around based on how DeAndre Hopkins left town. And the fact that there's a locker room culture problem, and the fact that it was, whether it was called out and addressed, or if it was just the underlying tone of Bill O'Brien didn't like DeAndre Hopkins' locker room presence and other things, and the rumors that he also had issues with Jadeveon Clowney and others, and if he has an issue with you, then you're going to be shown the door. So the fact that there were players that when they consider either signing here, re-signing here, or maybe wanting to play here, there's going to be question marks and red flags that naturally get thrown up, and they're not challenge flags, which Bill doesn't know how to deal with anyway. So when you start talking about those things, you start worrying about the future of your franchise, because if they're not addressed and people aren't very clear on how it's going to be going forward, then there's going to be hesitation and reservations about whether they want to play or be associated in any way, shape, or form with this organization. So kudos to them in the fact that they're at least trying to get out in front of everything and show that they're open and wanting to make changes, that they can look themselves in the mirror and see that they haven't been perfect. Because at least, like you've mentioned, we've heard from the Texans. We haven't heard from Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. We heard from them a whole lot previously when we were dealing with the kneeling issue and all the other things with the anthem. But now suddenly we haven't heard anything from the Cowboys, but we've heard a whole lot from the Texans, and it's been positive. Cal McNair actually had a video just by himself in which, instead of the team just making a statement on paper and issuing a press release, he did a video in which he addressed everything on their website. So credit to the Texans for whatever the reason, they've learned a lesson or they're trying to make themselves better, and going forward they're trying to make a change, and I think that's good.
Absolutely. Well, we want to talk about the external ramifications of this as well. But first, why don't you tell us about our friends at Fitz Roofing?
Absolutely. You know, Fitz Roofing is great. They're dedicated to the Houston community, and they want to be dedicated to you. If you need any kind of roofing repairs or a new roof on your house, there's only one place to go. They do free, no obligation inspections just by giving them a call, 832-521-3001. You call them, they come to you, tell you what they can do. If you want them to come back, just get back on the phone. They'll be there and they'll do great work. They are dedicated to Houston. They're going to make a difference one home at a time.
So this rehabilitation of the image, we've talked about the importance of relationship building and maybe even mending internally within the organization between Bill O'Brien, his players, and the ownership. Now let's talk about the external ramifications, because there's a big implication on how this affects free agency. Is that correct?
Absolutely, because players read the internet. They follow social media. They know what's out there. And so they have a lot of concerns. And even if the Texans obviously have a track record recently of overpaying position by position, and that might be a good thing, why am I going to sign on the dotted line and commit myself to multiple years dealing with a franchise that may not be dealing with me in an appropriate way? And so I have a lot of concerns. The agents are going to have concerns. The players themselves concerns. Even in trade scenarios, there's going to be concerns. So the fact that they're at least trying to address them and go positively forward, because they know there's work to do. They know that the reputation is out there. They have to know that it's now on a national stage, when in the past it was kind of like Houston's little dirty secret that they knew about how Bill was, both as a coach and a general manager, and the rumors about the organization. And even after Mr. McNair's statements, it wasn't that big of a deal. Now everybody's pretty well aware of the fact that the Texans have a very bad reputation. So the fact that they're trying to make sure that they nip that in the bud and going forward there's a different perception, that's something that not only am I going to give them credit for trying to do, it's something they had to do.
Do we see this continuing, and do you think we will see an eventual rehabilitation completely of the Texans' reputation?
You know what? Here's what I think. I think it's in two parts. I think from a franchise perspective, you can always do this and it becomes easier because all you have to do is do the right thing. And the more you do the right thing consistently instead of the media spin or trying to spin things to get the fan base to believe it, and you just do the right thing, you can set your reputation straight. Now, from a football perspective and a Bill O'Brien perspective, that's a tougher job to take on because of the fact that when you hit those bumps in the road, when you get to those low points, how are you going to handle that? Because there's one thing to handle things right now in the offseason, but when things really start going bad, and that's when he gets a little dicey with the media, and that's when he starts getting a little short, and that's when his temper seems to flare, like even when he went into the tunnel and had to have a cussing match with a fan, that's when you're really going to be pressed. That's when you're really going to be put on blast to say, how are you going to handle it now? So we still have the jury out in terms of how this is going to handle, how he's going to handle this, and how this is going to be handled going forward from a football perspective. From an organizational perspective, they can do this. They should do this. They just need to keep doing what they've been doing in the last couple of weeks.